The wheel of justice may grind slowly, but it will surely get to its destination of undiluted justice. But while you wait for justice, have you imagined how that long-drawn case can be settled out of court? Yes, we mean rebuilding a culture of amicable settlement of disputes through alternative dispute resolution. Settle with Laughter is a program tailored to educate, inform, sensitize, and promote access to justice through alternative dispute resolution anchored on mediation, consensus building, restorative justice, negotiation, and arbitration. Join an alternative dispute resolution expert, Barrister Ben Odoh, on Settle with Laughter on Soul TV, Abakaliki. Settle Dispute Television is an initiative of Negotiation Powerhouse Company Limited.
It's Settle with Laughter right here on Salt Television. My name is Abakaliki. Settle with Laughter is a program that is aimed to let you know that there are other ways you can resolve disputes or conflicts between you and another person. Okay, you don't necessarily have to go to court to get your issues settled out, because at the end of the day, you leave smiling and happy with whoever it is you had problems with. Thank you for joining us today on this episode of Settle with Laughter. A repeat broadcast will come to you on Tuesday night at 10:30 p.m. Okay, and you can watch us on YouTube is at Settle with Laughter. We're also on Facebook at Settle with Laughter. On Twitter, we are at Settle with Laughter, but it's LAFTA. And today with me in the studio, I have a very young man who is looking like dapper in his striped shirt and tie. And of course, you already know him. He's Bernard Odoh. The other name is Uruchi, like, man, the Uruchi blessings of God are plenty. And it's obvious, it's showing on him. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Thank you for thanking me.
It's been a long time we haven't seen you here.
Wow, I had to go on sabbatical.
Welcome back from the sabbatical. Okay, it's a good thing he's back from the sabbatical. We'll just take a break now, and when we come back, we'll tell you what you will be having today on the program. Just stay with us.
The wheel of justice may grind slowly, but it will surely get to its destination of undiluted justice. But while you wait for justice, have you imagined how that long-drawn case can be settled out of court? Yes, we mean rebuilding a culture of amicable settlement of disputes through alternative dispute resolution. Settle with Laughter is a program tailored to educate, inform, sensitize, and promote access to justice through alternative dispute resolution anchored on mediation, consensus building, restorative justice, negotiation, and arbitration. Join an alternative dispute resolution expert, Barrister Ben Odoh, on Settle with Laughter on Soul TV, Abakaliki. Settle Dispute Television is an initiative of Negotiation Powerhouse Company Limited.
It's Settle with Laughter on Salt Television, and today on the program, now we haven't told you this, but we really do appreciate your audience every time this program airs. Okay, we know that because we see your comments, we see your questions, and just because we want you to know that you are a part of us as we are a part of you, we've decided that once every month we'll come up with questions and answers, questions and contributions you made on this program, so that you know we'll get them. It's not enough just asking you to go visit us on social media and then we do not see anything in return. So we've decided at least once every month we'll come out and say, okay, fine, We saw all of them, and then we'll give answers to your questions that you left on our pages. So please feel free and continue leaving those questions there. Before the end of this program, we're going to give you our text message line, so you can keep sending in your text messages, and then of course would appreciate you here on television. So today being the last Saturday in the month of August, we are going to take those comments and questions. Are you ready, sir?
Very well.
Very, very.
Very well.
Okay, I'm going to start with this one from Engineer Shegu Ogunyawo, the Registrar, Institute of Chartered Mediators and Conciliators, Abuja. Now he says, the notion that most people want black-robed judges, well-dressed lawyers, and fine-paneled courtrooms as the setting to resolve disputes is not correct. People with problems, like people with pains, they want relief, and they want it as quickly and inexpensively as possible. Nice program.
Oh, that's good. Thank you, Engineer Shegun.
That one took your breath away. You remember Engineer Shegu, the perfect gentleman who was on this program some time ago.
Yeah.
I had problems pronouncing his names correctly, but Ogunyo, something like that. Now this one is coming from Honorable Justice Theresa Obot from Akwa Ibom State High Court of Justice, Orong Judicial Division. She says the courts of this country should not be the places where the resolution of disputes begin. Okay, they should be the places where disputes end after all means of resolving disputes have been considered and tried. Well done, Ben.
Thank you, my lord. Deeply humbled.
Okay. Dwight Eisenhower from Boston, United States of America said, every gun that is fired, every warship launched, every rocket fired signifies in the final sense a theft from those who hunger and are not fed, those who are cold and are not clothed. The world in arms is not spending money alone. It's spending the sweat of its laborers, the genius of its scientists, the hopes of its children. Nice program. Keep it up, guys.
Thank you very much. We're deeply honored.
I thought that guy must be a philosopher. He was really deep. Now, Honorable Justice Opoyemi Ooke, Mrs., the Judge of the High Court of Lagos State and the Chairman of the Governing Council of the Lagos Multi-Door Courthouse, Nigeria, says, it's my earnest hope that this program will challenge traditional stereotypical views and approaches which view justice administration as the executive preserve of the legal professional, while serving as a demand on the legal community to embrace the new thinking in justice delivery as a matter of professionalism, social service, and profitability.
Nice one. Thank you, my lord.
Okay, now Professor Ben is getting bigger and bigger as the comments come. Now, Professor Andrew Goodman, number 1 Chancery Lane, London, WC2A1LF says, there is a clear distinction between mediation and litigation as methods of dispute resolutions, whether state-sanctioned or wholly in private hands. And as part of this distinction, the impact of the High Court of the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, Civil Procedure Rules 2004, that's the FCT rules. The High Court of Lagos State Civil Procedure Rules 2004, that's the Lagos rules. And the Lagos Multi-Door Courthouse Law 2007, that is the LMDC law. The LMDC Practice Direction on Mediation Procedure 2008, the LMDC PD, and the Kano High Court ADR Center Multi-Door Courthouse Law 2010, and Protocol, the Kano Protocol on court-managed litigation must be taken into account. All these ones now law. I'm not. I don't know. So, and so he continued. He said, although these rules may be unfamiliar to some non-lawyers, there is no apology for mentioning them because of their huge influence on the dispute resolution landscape. Hopefully, all those who appear at mediation appointments in Ebonyi State, Nigeria, will benefit from your program, Settle with Laughter, which is intended to be practical and drawn from experience of what is rapidly growing but relatively new industry.
Thank you, Professor
Professor Andrew Goodman.
He's a good man.
He is a very good man. He's a very good man. Going from this, is a good man. Now, Mr. Eze Samson Chinedu from AIT Umahia says, good one, keep it up, Abakaliki and Odoh Ben. Proud of you both.
Thank you, Samson. Proud of you too.
Okay, so Samson, that is it. And that's how much we can take of our comments, so we can go into the questions. Prof, are you ready, sir?
Very well.
You know, here on this program, I'll be calling you Prof because you're a professor of ADR.
Complete.
So let's ask him some of the questions. Okay, we haven't, we picked some questions the last time and we didn't exhaust them. So we are going to continue from there. And when we are done, we'll open the phone lines so that you can call in and ask more of your questions. Okay, in these questions, in trying to answer these questions, Ben is going to be telling us, going into details on each of them so that we'll know that the lesson continues. Now, Mr. Abig Kingsley from Kempton Park, Johannesburg, South Africa says, how are mediators and facilitators, and I think he's saying facilitators, that should be conciliators, how are they selected and who pays for them?
It depends, once more, compliments of the day, viewers. The facilitators and conciliators and mediators are selected based on the nature and the circumstances surrounding a particular case and based on the options that the disputants carefully agreed.
Sorry, disputants.
The people in dispute.
Okay.
So carefully agreed to govern the dispute that has arisen.
Okay.
Now, if it is a negotiation, the disputants themselves, because negotiation is a communication or discussion between two or more persons that are in dispute.
Okay.
That is negotiation. Now, two of them, the disputants themselves, agree on who to appoint, and then how they can be remunerated. Now, in mediation, if the matter is between me and you, now it means you are going to appoint your mediator. I am going to appoint my mediator.
Okay, hold on. After the both parties, the disputants agree.
Yes, the disputants will agree.
Okay.
I'm having dispute with you, and we want to go into negotiation.
Okay.
Now, if two of us cannot negotiate, we can appoint our negotiators.
Okay.
Because it has to be with disputants that are directly involved.
Okay.
Now, they appoint the persons that will speak for them. Now, you appoint your own, I appoint my own. The two appointees are the negotiators.
Okay.
Now, they will be talking on, my own appointee will be talking on my behalf. Your own appointee will be talking on your behalf. Now, in this case, it is my duty to negotiate what I will pay my appointee. It is your own to negotiate what you will pay your own appointee, your own negotiator. So it's not the parties themselves. But if we are not able now to resolve our matters, we will now seek the intervention of a third neutral party to come and say, please, come and help us continue what we have started. Now, the invitation of that third neutral party is called mediation.
And this third neutral party, it's the both disputants who agree on this.
Yes, they invite an intervention of a third person.
And this is not like I'll invite my own person.
No, we now agree unanimously to invite one person.
Okay.
To chair. You know, some people, mediation is, if you ask me to define mediation, I would tell you that mediation is an assisted negotiation. It's a continuation of negotiation. It's a protracted negotiation. It's an advanced form of negotiation. So when parties, like I said, that negotiation is a discussion or a communication between the two persons that are directly involved in a dispute with a view of resolving their differences and reaching an agreement. Okay. Now, when these two persons are not able to amicably resolve their differences, they now seek the intervention of a third neutral party. And
that third neutral party will come in with the other negotiators.
So the persons we appointed is representing us. So, are you going to say? So the person we appointed is representing us. Now, on how to remunerate the third neutral person, who is a mediator, is between the agreement of the parties.
Okay.
Now, but the remuneration also will depend on the nature of the case. If it has to do with non-commercial nature in mediation, the mediator need not to be paid.
Okay.
Assuming I'm a pastor, and I have two of my faithful, two of my members in the church, let's say a husband and wife, having misunderstanding or quarreling, and I am invited to come and intervene in the matter. After resolving the matter for them through mediation, I can't ask them as a pastor, pastoring them, to pay me. So it depends on the nature of the case.
Okay.
Now, if I am an imam, and I have two of my faithfuls that are fighting, that are quarreling, and I come to resolve their matters based on Islamic injunction, now Islamic principles, I cannot ask them after resolving the dispute for them through mediation to pay me. But if I have two friends that have gone into legally defined relationship, whether it is contractual or not, and along the line there is a breach in that legally defined relationship, now and they now obtained my intervention, after resolving the matter, they will pay me.
Legally defined, more like business.
Yes, business relationship.
Okay.
That's why I say whether it is contractual or non-contractual.
Okay.
Now, party A employed party B to do some contracts, and along the line, there was breach in that contract, maybe involving 10 million. And along the line, there's breach, and both parties don't want to go to court. When they go to court, they will definitely spend a lot of money, and they now involve me to help them resolve the matter. They will pay me, because it's a commercial relationship.
Okay.
So that's what I'm saying. Now, how facilitators, like the question he asked, how mediators, conciliators, and facilitators are selected depends on the nature and the circumstances surrounding the case. One, parties themselves can appoint their facilitators, they can appoint their mediators, they can appoint their conciliators. Now, in the difference between mediation and conciliation is that conciliation is exclusively reserved for resolving employment disputes in Nigeria.
That's mediation.
Conciliation.
Okay.
But in mediation, you can use it to resolve any other form of dispute. And then mediator need not to be necessarily paid, but a conciliator must be paid.
Okay.
There, in Nigeria, there is no law currently now providing for the practice of mediation, but there is a law providing and regulating the practice of conciliation in Nigeria. The law is the Arbitration and Conciliation Act of 2004. You know, so under the Act, it provides on how conciliators can be appointed. But for mediation, it's at the inherent discretion of the parties involved that they can appoint. And then it's the parties that will agree on what to pay the mediator with the mediator. Now, if it's in arbitration, it depends on the agreement of the parties in the arbitration agreement. The parties can either agree that they will appoint, they will go through ad hoc arbitration, or that they will go through sole arbitration, or they will go through institutional arbitration. If it's ad hoc, it means, if it is sole, it means the parties envision appointing one person to chair the proceeding. The two parties involved will agree on what to pay the arbitrator. Okay. With the arbitrator himself. The decision will be taken by the arbitrator and the parties involved. Now, if they now decide to go through ad hoc arbitration, which means from 3 above, appointing 3 persons, party A appoints his own, party B appoints, and the third person appoints, and the third person is appointed to chair the proceeding. Now, there is a law on arbitration, like I've said. It will now regulate on how in fact, section 49 and section 50 provides for the remuneration and the payment of arbitration proceedings. So the law provides how you are going to pay the arbitrator. It will be determined based on the cost of the subject matter. Assuming the subject matter is land and the value of the land is 100 million, definitely the arbitrator will first of all look at the 10% of 100 million, look at the venue. He has to travel, maybe coming from US, his flight ticket, his accommodation, his feeding, the number of sittings, the number of meetings, all those things will constitute the cost. So the law is expressly clear on that under section 49 and section 50 of the Arbitration and Conciliation Act. So that's why I say it depends on the options that the parties have agreed to govern the proceeding. Now, if it is institutional, we have like settlement house, we have institution like Institute of Chartered Mediators and Conciliators, we have Chartered Institute of Arbitrators UK, we have Chartered Institute of Arbitrators Nigeria, we have the multi-door courthouse. They have the rules governing them, providing for, we have the International Center for the Settlement of Investment Disputes. So once you decide to go through institutional arbitration, they have specified amount of money you pay to arbitrators. So parties here now don't agree on what to pay, but they have their rules and they have their laws providing for how much you pay and how to pay them and who to pay them to. So it depends on, like I said, the nature of the case. It depends on the options that the parties may want to adopt, and it depends on the law and rules guiding the processes that the parties have adopted.
Okay, and this response now is almost sounding expensive. Like when you said, if a person is coming from US, for instance, the flight ticket and all of that, if it's going to be expensive, why wouldn't the person use litigation instead of conciliation?
That's what I'm saying now. It depends on, like I said, remember I made mention of someone, assuming an arbitrator is coming from Lagos, or an arbitrator is coming from London. Now I said in arbitration, we use arbitration only for commercial dispute in Nigeria, commercial dispute. Now, I'll give you an example now. Some times ago, there was Dana plane crash. Now, an arbitrator was hired to come, an expert in aviation, an arbitrator who is an expert in aviation, to come and help in assessing damages, the compensation to be paid to the victims, and then what the cost of that plane crash and everything. Now, they had to go outside the country to invite that person to come and give an expert opinion. Now, so now, if parties are into commercial dispute, the essence of using arbitration is that, number one, experts are involved. For example, I'm a lawyer, assuming I'm a judge, and I have a matter before me on the remote cause of the Dana plane crash. Now, you will know sincerely that I may not have good knowledge of aviation or what might have caused that plane crash. So, but in arbitration, they will look for experts who will give you expert opinion and give you expert service. So parties do opt out for this arbitration because, number one, when they seek to get the expert opinion of expert on the subject matter, and two, the expert gives it a accelerated hearing. If it's in court, if it's something that will ordinarily take 4 or 5 years, in arbitration it may end up taking 6 months. So parties may also prefer to, like, no matter what, let me pay and get this thing done in 6 months than go through rigorous litigation and get justice after. Now, I'll give you an example. If I will end up winning a case in 5 years, and in 5 years I'll be awarded costs. I'll be asked to pay. I'll be awarded because there will be remedies that will be awarded to me. Now, to the tune of 5 million naira. In 5 years, I'll be asked. Somebody will pay me 5 million. My opponent will pay me. I am sure that will pay me 5 million naira at the end of the judgment, at the end of the case, and I will obtain favorable judgment where he will be asked to pay me 5 million naira damages in 5 years. Now, wouldn't it be better for me if I have an arbitrator who is willing and who is ready to give me judgment in 6 months, and then I will be in that 6 months I will definitely pay maybe 6 million or 7 million in 6 months to get that, because you look at what will be the value of that 5 million in 5 years.
In 5 years.
So these are the things that parties look at as, okay, number one, it is quicker. Then two, it is private. Then three, it is a bit confidential, and then even though it is even less expensive, because the cost of filing, the rigor of traveling, the litigation advocacy involved, and so many things. So, but arbitration is private, and all these things, you cannot see them technicalities in arbitration. The technicalities you see in law. In litigation. Okay,
thank you, Mr. Abi Kingsley from Kempton Park, Johannesburg. You've succeeded in making Ben tell us how arbitrators, conciliators, and mediators are selected, and even negotiators, and who pays for their services. I hope he answered your questions and satisfactorily. Now, we'll take one more question before we open the phone line and start taking your question right now. Mrs. Helen Chanda from Lusaka, Zambia says, my friend Ben Odoh, what procedural safeguard exists in ADR in your country, Nigeria?
Procedural safeguard. Chanda, we are here to, in fact, the problem we have in our Arbitration and Conciliation Act is that we don't have immunity for arbitrators yet. So there's no procedural safeguard for arbitration. But unlike the immunities we have for judges, we don't have right now under the Arbitration and Conciliation Act. But I think that the Act, in some fora, I've made in a fora, I've made a submission that the Arbitration and Conciliation Act needs an amendment. The Act needs an amendment because of the inherent lacuna in the Act. If you look at the Arbitration and Conciliation Act 2004, it's like the legal draftsman of the Arbitration and Conciliation Act of 2004 is the same person who wrote, with due respect, King James Version of the Bible. You know, if you're speaking, if you're adopting the language used in King James Version of the Bible, now you see people will be looking at you. Thou says thee, thou says
thou
walketh,
and sayeth.
Sayeth, are you okay? So if you look at our Arbitration and Conciliation Act, it has 58 sections, from section 1 to section 58, are characterized with inherent lacuna. There's serious gap. That means the arbitration needs to be amended. And if it's amended, it will accommodate, it will create for these safeguards, this immunity, proper immunity for arbitrators in Nigeria. In fact, the only thing the only section I love is only section 35, that provides that the court shall not interfere in any subject matter of arbitration proceeding. Outside that, nothing. Now, for example, why I am making a case that the Arbitration and Conciliation Act of 2004 should be amended is that I did a research and I discovered that what the legal draftsman or draftsmen that drafted the Arbitration and Conciliation Act did was copy and paste. They now took the arbitration law of US with the arbitration law of UK and kept like this, and copied and pasted side by side. They took section 1 of arbitration law of US and pasted it as our own section 1. Picked section 2 of UK and pasted it as section 2. Picked section 3 of US, pasted as our section 3. Picked section 4 of US or UK, pasted as, that's what they did till the end. And now, for example, if you look at section 4 and section 5, which provide on stay of proceeding, that a court, once they are notified that parties in their contract agreement have a clause providing that dispute should be resolved through arbitration. Once the court is notified that the court should do or stay the proceeding, the court should hands off the matter and refer the matter to be resolved through arbitration. Now, if you look at that section 4 is a repetition of section 5. Like as the Bible keeps saying, verily, verily, I say unto thee. You see, they keep repeating something. So when you look at section 4 is on stay of proceeding. Section 5 is also on stay of proceeding. So section 4 is stay of proceeding of US. Section 5 is stay of proceeding of UK. So when you look at all these things, now, if you are challenging challenging award, there are 4 grounds for challenging award. But it's the time limit for this bringing up this impeachment of award under these 4 grounds is only provided for in arbitration for only 1 ground. The other 3 is at the inherent discretion of the parties involved. So the Arbitration Act needs to be amended. Once it is amended, now I think the amendment is ongoing right now. It has passed first reading, second reading. And once it's amended, it's no longer going to be called Arbitration and Conciliation Act. It's going to be called ADR and Arbitration Act. Now, that will include negotiation, mediation, arbitration, and conciliation, because the Act will have only provide for arbitration and conciliation. Mediation, negotiation is not provided for in our Act. So once it's amended, it will definitely safeguard that. But again, too, we have other laws providing for ADR, and then parties involved and the people doing the ADR, they are a bit protected. I'll give you an example. If you are a subscriber to National Health Insurance Scheme, NHIS, good. Section 26 of National Health Insurance Scheme Act of 2004 provides that if you have dispute arising out of your relationship between the National Health Insurance Commission and you, the subscriber, be the National Health Insurance Scheme, being the service health service provider, you have issues with them, that issue cannot go to court. It shall be resolved through arbitration, and their decision is not appealable. So, assuming now that the arbitral tribunal there errs, you cannot take, so you read all those things before you subscribe to, you cannot go to court on that matter, so they have an immunity protecting them.
All right, Mrs. Helen Chanda from Lusaka in Zambia. I hope Professor of ADR. I hope he answered. Professor of ADR. I hope he answered your question. More questions, please send it to our text message line, or of course go to our social media pages to actually drop off your questions. We'll take a quick break now. When we'll come back, we'll continue with the questions. Only it will be you calling us or texting us, actually calling us on the phone lines that will be displayed on your screen. So a quick break now. We'll be back to continue with the Prof of ADR.
The wheel of justice may grind slowly, but it will surely get to its destination of undiluted justice. But while you wait for justice, have you imagined how that long-drawn case can be settled out of court? Yes, we mean rebuilding a culture of amicable settlement of disputes through alternative dispute resolution. Settle with Laughter is a program tailored to educate, inform, sensitize, and promote access to justice through alternative dispute resolution anchored on mediation, consensus building,